In this video I'm going to repair my Klipsch 2.1 Promedia speaker set. I've already fixed it once before where the base went out and it ended up being a cracked solder joint. And basically the same thing happened again. I'd get pops and the base would go out, and this time I hit the box and the base came back. So it made me think that it was another cracked solder joint. I removed some of these screws that were holding this board in place, and I had to take a knife and cut this glue, and eventually I pried it back and forth and it came out. This is the power supply board, and this is the low frequency subboard. The problem I had last time is one of these resistors was cracked. The solder joint was cracked and separated, and I just soldered it back and it fixed it. But this time I totally removed the board so I could access the capacitors down at the bottom. And to do that, I took my Hakko desoldering pump tool and desoldered these 5 pins here and these 3 pins here. And the low frequency subboard came out of the power supply board. I found one capacitor where the solder joint was cracked and loose, and I tested all the capacitors and I found 4 that were bad and I replaced them, and then I put everything back together and powered it up, and it worked perfect for about 5 minutes, and then it died and the fuse had burnt out. So I took it back apart, and it turns out I forgot to hook these 2 MOSFETs back up to the heatsink. I've tested these and they both test bad, and I've ordered some, so we'll see if that fixes it. It was my mistake. They were hanging in the air. I forgot to screw them down. While I'm waiting for these parts to come in the mail, I figured I'd show you what these 4 bad caps read. These are the 2 meters I use to test capacitors. The most important one is the ESR meter. It costs about $45 on eBay. Equivalent series resistance, and you match it up to this little chart. And then this is a capacitance meter, and it costs $15 on eBay. And it allows you to test the microfarad rating. This is a 100 microfarad, 16 volts. It should read no higher than 0.7. This one reads 10.8. It's reading 81 microfarads. Here's another 100 microfarad, 16 volt cap, and it reads totally open. So it's a bad cap, and it reads nothing, half a microfarad. This is a 50 volt 100 microfarad cap, and it also is totally open. 18 microfarads. This is a bad cap. And I've tested all the resistors and they're all good. Mainly these big ones you got to worry about. This one here is supposed to be 24K ohms, and it's right on the money pretty much. There's a little bit of variance. These are supposed to be 1000 ohms, 971 ohms. That's okay. And this other big one should also be 1000, and it is 984 ohms, so those are all good. And since I had the boards out, I tested all the rest of the capacitors. Now that they're easier to access, and all of them are good. If you Google Klipsch 2.1 schematics, you can download these files, and it'll show you the components that are on each of the boards. Okay, all my parts came in. It took about 3.5 weeks because they come from China. But I got 5 of these for $4. I got 10 of these for $4, and I got 10 fuses for $5. Quickest way to test if a MOSFET is bad is if you have continuity And these new ones don't do that. Then I take my magnifying glass, make sure there's no solder bridges. Okay, everything's in and tightened down. Now I'll attach all the cables. Okay, I've got everything soldered in, hooked up. Now I'm going to test it out. I'm going to do it with this open so I can keep an eye on everything. Okay, it's got a green light. Hey, hey, hey. I've actually already tested this, so I know it works. But it's fixed. Oh yeah. This is royalty-free music, so I don't get like a copyright strike on YouTube. But so it ended up being a cracked solder joint and then 4 bad capacitors. And then I messed up and I had to replace 2 MOSFETs that I burnt out. I'm actually kind of glad I messed up because it gave me a chance to learn something new. First time I've had to change one of these. And there's a little number stamped on top that you can find out, cross-reference it to buy it online.